there, welcome everybody to our brand new podcast. It is Patriots of the American Republic, and I'm here with my brother Saul. Saul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Welcome everybody. My name is Saul, and I'm one of your fellow Patriots. We are in a battle of our lifetimes, and it's a privilege here being with Carlos and with all of you, sharing some important topics, our opinions on those topics, and trying to see and gauge where things are heading, and trying to wake a lot of people up because it's important.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Welcome, brother. And so what we're trying to do here, and by the way, my name is Carlos, and what Saul and I are trying to do here is we're trying to bring light, information to a community specific to the Hispanic community. So our podcasts are going to be both translated in English and in Spanish, so you'll see uploads, and in the title section we'll differentiate which ones in English and which ones are in Spanish. Why are we doing this? Because unlike the American news media, there's, even though it's predominantly left-wing, right, there are some conservative news stations like Fox, Newsmax, and AON. However, on the Hispanic side, they don't have that. It's strictly left-wing media from Telemundo and Univision. Saul, would you agree with that?
I would completely agree. Right now, we're in a phase, and you hit it right in the nail, Carlos, where in the Latino community, we just only have one point of view, which is the Democrat leftist agenda. And again, they don't want any other conservative point or any other alternative point to be resonated within the Latino community. So that's one of the main reasons that our purpose of being here with this podcast is to bring awareness in both English and Espanol to our Latino community, and to create awareness of everything that's going on, educate our fellow Latinos and American patriots of what's going on.
Correct. And it actually brings me to an interesting point. I don't know if you got a chance to view the documentary from Dinesh D'Souza called 2,000 Mules. And what's interesting is they interviewed a Democratic whistleblower. And that whistleblower, what she basically said was that they target the Hispanic community for due to their age, right? Language barrier, comprehension, which I would imagine, and then overall ignorance. So that really upset me because it's like they're doing it on purpose, and they're lying to the Hispanic community. They're taking full-fledged advantage of them. So this is why we're doing this. We know that the media is the left-wing media is really fake. They report not on what they need to report on, but they report on what they want to report on. And it has a narrative, and it's just full of lies, and it's cherry-picked information. We've seen that with Nicholas Sandmann, right? We've seen that with Michael Avenatti, the Russia hoax. We've seen it a multitude of times where the left-wing media, they just regurgitate whatever the narrative is from the Democratic Party, and that's what we're here trying to break up.
Right. Great points, Carlos. And that brings me to piggyback of that point. There is a particular a reporter from the Miami media, Jaime Bailey, which the other night I was listening to him in Spanish, and I do respect him as a person and as a reporter. The only thing, however, he cherry picks points. So he was talking about January 6th, which again, as you know, Carlos, and I will tell the audience, I was there on January 6th. I am a proud January 6th attendee, exercising my freedom of speech and my freedom of assembly protected by the U.S. Constitution. So to hear his lies, his blatant lies, and calling me and other fellow American citizens pretty much thugs and killers, quote unquote, those are his words. It's really sad, sad and frustrating, because I was there, and that is a complete lie. So again, that's just a small example of someone in Spanish just saying one side of the equation, saying that I guess the 2 million of us that were there peacefully were rioting, which that wasn't the case. As we know, only about 100, 150 individuals went into the Capitol. Most of them were peaceful, and there were some infiltrators by Antifa and BLM, dressed as Trump supporters, which initiated in big part some of the window breaking and things like that. So again, Jaime Bailey does not cover that, and I would like to if I ever had the opportunity to chat with him in a professional, civilized manner, to tell him, hey, Jaime, why are you saying just one side and making it seem the event as the worst event in U.S. history? Yep. It's completely disgusting, in my opinion.
It is completely disgusting. It's completely false, the way these reporters will cover it. And remember, we have a stark contrast between January 6th and the events that took place during the Summer of Love in 2020, right? I mean, all these people were promoting and they were okay with everything that happened. But we're gonna have to save that for another segment. But what I do want to say that is really important is how the Hispanic community, and I grew up here and I was born here. I was born and raised in New Jersey, and I heard it all my life how Republicans are racist and they're for white people, and Democrats are all for Hispanic. Right? And so what happens is it creates a false narrative for the Hispanic community, and they buy into that. And that's why a large portion of the Hispanic community votes Democrat, even though we have strong conservative values.
Correct. And that is an outstanding point, Carlos. And it goes back to the fact that, again, I don't hear the Spanish news stations saying that the Democrat Party is the party of the KKK. I don't hear them say that. I don't hear the Latino news saying that the Republican Party is the party that ended slavery. So it's some of these items and hypocrisy and false illusion that the left, along with the media and its minions of the controlled, biased, fake media, and that translates into the Espanol community, and that's why all the Latinos are listening and hearing just one side of the political equation.
Correct. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to turn that around. And I think that a lot of it has begun to shift, right? We saw that in the 2020 Trump run, a lot of the Hispanics came over to the Republican side and voted for Trump because they saw how good the economy was going. They saw a lot of good things from Trump. They may not have liked his delivery or his tone or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, his policies worked. And that's really what really matters. Our pockets were bigger, our country was safer, we were secure, and that started the shift, and it's carrying over that we have Myra Flores from Texas, District 34, who won last month. I think, if I'm not mistaken, a Mexican-born American, illegal immigrant, and she was able to win a district that was predominantly held by Democrats for quite some time, right?
Sure. It was actually 150 years. So she flipped a Democrat stronghold that was, pretty much unbeatable for 150 years. And she had the great approach and vision to flip it, to literally go from house to house in the majority of her district, waking people up and educating them and informing them that, hey, our values align with the Republican Party and our Freedom Party. So that's one of the reasons why I really admire Myra Flores. I'm so happy for her. Interesting story, Carlos. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, and I'll be happy to share with you in the audience. I actually been connected on Facebook with Myra Flores even before she ran for Congress. So we have been Facebook friends, and I've always followed her and supported her on all her political posts. She's pro-freedom, pro-God, pro-gun, as you can see. Carlos, and always in the audience, we are huge Second Amendment supporters, law-abiding gun owners, and that's an important trait and characteristic that most of us Latinos have, the ones of us that are awake and know what's going on. But again, really, really outstanding, and happy for Myra Flores. Just going to do a great job in Congress, and we wish her the best, and may God be with her during the whole way.
Amen. As a matter of fact, she was actually interviewed by Tucker Carlson, I think a week or a couple of days after she was elected. So let's take a pause and let's see his interview really quick and see some of the main points that they went through.
Excellent.
Just the other day, a special election took place in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. Myra Flores, a Republican, flipped a congressional seat that Democrats have held for over a century. It's really an amazing story. She joins us for her first interview since being sworn in as a member of Congress. Congresswoman Flores, I really appreciate your coming on. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your win. It's amazing. What does it mean exactly? How did you do this? It would have been unimaginable 10 years ago.
Honestly, I just focus on the issues that really matter to my district. And,
Yes.
you know, we're all about faith, family, and hard work. That's exactly who we are.
And so, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it was an overwhelmingly Democratic district. So,
yeah, but, you know, we didn't have the funding before. We didn't have the funding before to get the message across our district. And now we do have the funding and the support from the Republican Party. But prior to 2020, we did not have that support. We were
Yes.
all alone. You know, the Democrat Party took us for granted, and we also did not have the support from the Republican Party. And that's, you know, that's a fact.
yeah, nobody thought it was possible.
No
I
one
think
thought
that
it was
I think
possible.
that in Washington. So, faith, family, hard work.
Yes, that's who we are. That's who we've always been. You know, people tell me, Myra, why are you Republican? Weren't you born in Mexico? Well, because I was born in Mexico is that I am Republican, because I was raised with strong conservative values, and I'm not willing to put them aside for a political party. And I'm not loyal to a party. I'm loyal to God. I'm loyal to my family. I'm loyal to my community. And I tell the people in South Texas, who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to God, or are you loyal to the Democrat Party? And they tell me, no, I'm loyal to God. Okay, well, let's stop being loyal to a party who's done nothing for us for over 100 years.
That's right. That right there is exactly what you had pretty much said.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We are this. She's for family, God, and country. Right? And that's really what we should all be about. Now, let me ask you this. So, do you think that based on the interview and the things that she ran on her campaign, do you think that this changes the narrative a little bit as far as like Republicans just being full of white people?
Well, Carlos, it's starting to shift by a very minute, tectonic movement per se. I did see, as soon as she won, maybe a couple days after that, Jorge Ramos from Univision, which again I respect some of his reporting approach. And some of them, it's questionable. Sometimes he sounds more like an activist rather than a reporter. And again, that's my personal opinion.
Sure.
Overall, obviously, he's one of the leaders in the Latino community when it comes to the news. So he did bring her on for an interview. So I like that. In other years, I don't think that would have happened. So this massive win by Myra Flores broke the dam, per se, as far as some of these Latino news stations having to report her massive win. It was actually a pretty good landslide against her Democrat opponent. So they are realizing that, hey, yeah, she won a Democrat stronghold that has been Democrat for the past 150 years. We got to report on it. So I give kudos to Univision for that, and Mr. Jorge Ramos for allowing her to express her point, and she expressed her points in Espanol, in Spanish, just like she did with Tucker Carlson. She's all about God, about faith, hard work, freedom, and the right to or Second Amendment for family protection. So, and she laid out those points during her interview, and I was actually happy to see that. So it's slowly shifting, Carlos. It's still going to take a while. Small local stations like Telemundo, they're not picking that up. But main ones like Miami, where Jorge Ramos is based out of, he covered it. And as you know, Miami news stations, they reach pretty much all the cities in the United States.
Yeah, I find it really interesting how the media, right, especially the Hispanic one, is going to have a hard time painting her as a racist. But the English-speaking one has already begun their attacks on her. As a matter of fact,
Sure.
New York Times came out with an article today, and we'll go ahead and share that.
Sure. May I interject for a second?
Yeah.
Not the New York Times, the failing New York Times.
The failing New York Times. That's right. And what they did here was, I want you to see. You can see my screen, right?
Sure.
Notice the headliner here: the rise of the far right Latina.
Latina, wow.
Yeah, she's far right. Now we heard what her campaign was run on, which it actually expresses it somewhere here in the article. If you go through it, God, family, and country. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So God, family, and country kind of makes you a right-wing extremist. You know, and the interesting part is that they try and dirty her up with stuff about QAnon, and does she support? Does she find Biden a legitimate president? Does she have any concerns about the elections that took place? I mean, they're trying to really back her up into a nasty corner. When, I
Sure.
mean, we know that the Democrats have for a while. I think in many elections they've questioned the authenticity of it,
results.
the results. Yeah. So I don't know why that's all of a sudden an issue, but whatever. But you can
Well,
see
Carlos,
here. Yeah.
it just goes to show you, if I may, interject, and thank you for the opportunity. It just goes to show you the hypocrisy from the left. The radical left, which in my opinion, some of the radical left segments have become so Marxist. So I call them most of the time the Marxist radical left. They have become so to the left that anything normal that should be probably neutral or to the right a little bit, they call it far right. So that's what's going on. But again, if you look at it, and everybody with a brain, with a brain will analyze that she's a hardworking woman. She's a family woman. She has kids. She's married. She has a great husband, who her husband's actually part of the Border Patrol in Texas, defending the United States at the border from all this incoming illegal aliens that we don't know who's coming in. We don't know who's being checked, who has good intentions, who doesn't have good intentions. So it's really sad that the failing New York Times, like President Trump used to call it, that's all they have. They pretty much are making things up about Myra Flores, about QAnon, saying that she's aggressive because she's pro Second Amendment, and she's a legal gun owner in Texas. So it just goes to show you they have nothing, Carlos. An audience, they don't have anything in their arsenal per se to really put some dirt on her, because she has a clean slate, in my opinion. And anyone that does a quick research on her sees that she has a pretty good career, and it's a hardworking American.
Yep.
So again, it just goes to show you the dirty tricks of the left and the arm of the left, which is a failing New York Times.
Sure, absolutely. Now, what's interesting is how the media has, with contrast, right? They're attacking Myra Flores, or how they're responding to Myra Flores, versus how they've pretty much put AOC on a pedestal. And really, just from the interviews, the number of interviews that I've seen from Myra Flores, I mean, this is a lady who's got brains, she's got talent, she's well spoken, right? She knows what she's saying. It's not like the ridiculous things that AOC has said, that there's a bunch of memes out there for it, right? Meme after meme after meme of AOC. So, what do you see as the media's difference in handling the two ladies?
Well, I mean, they're going to have a hard time, Carlos. Obviously, we know the Marxist radical left will try to go years on her history and try to look at a social media post that might sound racist, or might sound bigoted. So they're going to try to do their homework and try to look and research. And I personally believe they're not going to find anything. But if they do, they're going to find something minute, or maybe something really small, and they're going to try to blow it into proportion. So once, the news start reporting this, and that she was QAnon and all that, people are going to see through that farce. And again, fake media like the New York Times, in my opinion, that's all they have. They're just going to agree and, gaslight us, or gaslight their audience about this particular lies. But the media is going to have a hard time. I think the English-speaking media, they definitely might try to dirt her up here and there. For the the Spanish-speaking media, I don't see how they're going to repeat those points by the American media and try to sound valid when they're not. So again, we're slowly breaking that censorship and that one view or one party viewpoint by those interviews from Jorge Ramos and other media outlets.
Well, I think what's interesting is that this article, and I can't find it, but somewhere in there I saw the word extreme, if I'm not mistaken. And it's interesting what the left considers extreme. Like, you and I would be considered extreme, right? We're constitutionalists, we're pro life, we're Christians. We're patriots, right? We believe in the Second Amendment, right? And the First Amendment.
Pro-gun, correct?
Right. So we to them would be considered extreme. Yet someone who is like AOC, a self-appointed socialist, is not considered extreme. And socialism, to me, in my eyes, is an extreme. You having a Venezuelan background, can you elaborate a little bit more on socialism?
Sure. So I was just about to mention that. So thank you for bringing that up. So yes, I'm originally born in Caracas, Venezuela. I'm South American, and I have had the privilege of becoming a naturalized citizen here in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. Coming from Venezuela and living through what first started as a socialist movement and then became a communist movement, and now it can be compared easily to a totalitarian movement, because in Venezuela there's no freedom of speech. In Venezuela, if you're a dissident from the current illegitimate government, from Maduro, you could end up in jail or wind up dead, as many young people found out, unfortunately, back in the riots, in the peaceful riots in Venezuela, where the police
the protests
used the protests. Correct. They used fatal shots against protesters that literally had their hands on the air, painted white, and then they didn't have any weapons. But it's sad to see individuals like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez that literally said, audience, I can share this link for you once I find it, but she did say in the past that the United States of America should have an economic style or system like Venezuela, meaning a communist/socialist economic debacle that will just accelerate the collapse here in the United States. As you know, Carlos and audience, Venezuela has been an oil-rich country for decades, and they actually used to call it the little United States of Latin America back in the day when things were going well. But obviously Chavez and Maduro, they ruined it by taking the guns away, by establishing a Cuban regime. By Cuban, always I mean a communist regime.
Right.
And it's really sad to see self-proclaimed socialists, like you're saying, like AOC, compare wanting to have an economy here in the USA like in Venezuela. So, it's sad that the American media and the Spanish-speaking media, they don't call her out on that.
No, they don't.
They don't criticize her for that. I don't think ever since AOC has been in Congress, at least from a Latino news station, she hasn't been criticized at all. Even though her ideas have been very questionable, like whenever she tried to push the Green New Deal, I believe it was, literally saying that we needed to demolish all infrastructure and rebuild back up again, saying that cows were bad for the environment due to their flatulences. So that was interesting. And as you know, she became a meme as soon as she spoke out. She doesn't represent well the University of Boston, in my opinion.
No, and she doesn't represent the Hispanic community at all either, to be quite honest.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah, that's even more important.
So let me ask you this. One of the things that Myra Flores ran on was, strong border security, which is what, Republicans, or at least true Republicans, are for. And the left loves to muddy things up when it comes to immigration, right? If you are for legal immigration, somehow they manage to say that you are racist and that you're against immigration. No, there's a difference between immigration, legal, and illegal immigration. I have a Peruvian background, right? My father's from Peru, and I wouldn't be able to walk into Peru willy-nilly without papers, right? I'd get arrested and I'd go to jail, right? I have to have proper documentation and so on and so forth. So why, let me ask you this, so why is it that the left loves to muddy the two and really, they can't seem, or I don't know if it's maybe that they don't want to see it, but they love to muddy it up and they love to make it seem like if you are for legal immigration, you are against immigration?
Yeah, they obviously, they try to muddy it up, Carlos, because they know that this illegal immigration, for example, like the Biden policies and the Democrat current policies that it's open borders, they know that's wrong. They know that. They just try to sell it like, oh no, let everybody in, and we're going to be kind and humanitarians. I completely see that point of view by them, and I respect it. Obviously, yes, we do have to have a big heart and be humanitarian. However, there's got to be a process to it.
Yep.
And that's where legal immigration comes in.
Yep.
And actually, it's interesting because before the Trump era, Barack Hussein Obama and also Bill Clinton, they are on video saying that we need a border protection.
Yep.
They literally had these initiatives back when they were in power, and they sounded just like Trump.
Along our borders. The fence is now basically complete. Maybe they'll need a moat. Maybe they want alligators in the moat.
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
We will not build a wall. Instead, we will build an economy where everyone who wants a good job can get one.
I voted for a fence. I voted unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it. I voted for 700-mile fence. And let me tell you something, folks. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine to cocaine to heroin. It's all coming up through corrupt Mexico.
And the impulse is to hunker down, shut the gates, build walls, exit at this moment is precisely the wrong answer.
Former presidents have said to him that they wish that they had built a wall. Do you recall President Obama ever saying that?
Come on.
Construction of a 630-mile border fence create a significant barrier to illegal immigration on our southern land border.
All along, the president's saying, well, I'll do DACA and Dreamers in return for the wall. He's got it. President Trump, if you want to open the government, you must abandon the wall.
When Trump took over, so it's a Trump effect and the Trump derangement syndrome that made them flip their narrative. We even have Nancy Pelosi, we even had Nadler saying it.
Chuck Schumer.
And even Obama. Obama said, yes. who we know Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, it can be perceived as a god to some of the leftists. Even he said it's on video. So their hypocrisy couldn't be farther from reality, Carlos. They're literally saying on video, hey, we need procedures at the border. Even Obama said you need to get to the back of the line and come in on your turn.
Correct.
Which that's legal immigration. That's
Correct.
how it should be. Just like you were saying, Carlos, that if you went to Peru illegally, you will get arrested. Same here. I've been to many countries around the world. Whenever I've been to Germany, for example, if I take one more day at the hostel or at the hotel that I'm staying in, immigration will come knocking on the door.
That's correct.
Saying, Mr. Saul, you were supposed to be here until yesterday or until today. We need you at the airport right now.
Yep.
And that's how it should be.
Yep.
If I go to Mexico right now, they would tell me, hey, how long are you sitting here? You're not sitting here illegally. So that's where we are. That's why they try to muddy it up, Carlos. It's very sad. And again, it's sad to see how some of us who are pro-legal immigration, we get called racist, we get called bigots, which couldn't be farther from the truth. And one example that you could ask any of your Democrat friends, and I'm telling you that to you, Carlos, and to the audience, try this out. Tell them, hey, one of those illegal aliens, they need a home. Do you want to go ahead and give them a room at your house? Do you want to leave the door open to your house to receive one of these Afghan refugees or Ukrainian refugees? The answer will be no. And there's actually a video of people trying that in the street saying, hey, are you pro-immigration, Yeah. And they say, yes, of course we are. And then when they ask them immediately, listen, they need a place to stay. Can they share your sofa or you have an extra room? They immediately say no. So it just says it shuts down their hypocrisy.
Of course.
And just an analogy that I tell my friends all the time. If you are pro-illegal immigration, take this analogy. Would you let your home open all night and your fridge for anyone to come in and grab a glass of milk or some water or just sit on the couch? Probably not, right? You want to be safe and secure your family. That's how the border should be, in my opinion.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. And let's delve into the impacts of illegal immigration, because to your point, almost every prominent Democrat has been on record at some point for saying, prior to Obama's second term, to saying that illegal immigration is bad for our country, it hurts legal immigrants, it hurts the American taxpayer, and so on and so forth. So
Sure.
let's start with exploitation of illegal immigrants. We know that there are companies that will hire illegal immigrants and they will pay them a fraction of what they should pay them. They won't pay them minimum wage. They won't give them benefits, no overtime, no sick, no holiday, no nothing, right? So I
Sure.
think exploitation of illegal immigrants is one of the things that isn't really good regarding illegal immigration.
Sure, that is a great point. So that the exploitation of illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, it's really sad. So it counteracts the point by the left, because the left at this point, the Marxist radical left, how I call it in my opinion, they sound like they care more about illegals and actual U.S. citizens, and that's actually the case. Imagine, when we had the baby food formula shortage, how they were sending pallets to the border. Yeah. So the illegal families had the actual baby food formula. So things like that. So obviously, it contradicts their point of view, Carlos, and audience, that they care so much about the illegals. But again, they don't care about the fact that they're getting exploited by North American companies, paying them a fraction of the cost of what they should get paid, and going around labor laws. The left doesn't care about that. Yeah. The radical Marxist left doesn't care about the fact that kids and adults are dying crossing the Rio Grande. They don't care that coyotes actually charge sometimes some of these immigrants thousands of dollars to their families that are living here in the USA, and sometimes they just leave at the border in very, very precarious health conditions. The radical Marxist left doesn't care about that. They don't care about that. They just want everybody to be an influx to come in, so they could at some point vote Democrat or fulfill those votes that they're losing because of their Marxist ultra left policies.
Well, absolutely, it does go. I mean, there is how do you switch from one direction to the other? You do a complete 180. You say 1 minute that illegal immigration is bad, and then you're like all open borders, knowing that the vast majority, I would say, and I don't have any numbers, this is just me off the top of my head, I would say, anywhere from 70 to 80% of the Hispanic community votes Democrat. So they're banking, I would imagine, on those votes, and that's why they want it. But illegal immigration also impacts legal immigration. I remember in the 90s, I was a teenager. My dad worked in factories, bookbinding and stuff like that, and he was first witness to, number one, how some of the illegal immigrants were getting paid minimum wage or less than minimum wage, operating heavy machinery where at that time they should have been paid like $12, $15 an hour. Minimum wage back then was like $5.10 when I was a teenager, right? So they were sorely underpaid. Not only that, but he had friends who were legal immigrants who could not get a job doing that type of low-skilled labor because the illegal immigrants were taking it up because of the decreased wages. A false narrative that the left likes to do is like, oh, well, no blonde-haired, blue-eyed person wants to pick strawberries and clean toilets. And listen, I was born here. I'm Hispanic, and I don't want to do that. Why? Because I have an education, right? I have a profession. Sure. My parents worked hard to put that in me, and as well as you do, Saul. So it's not so much that it's low. It's something that's low skilled. So when you have legal versus illegal, now you can compare apples to apples, and you could see we're giving the job to the illegal really does a disservice to the legal immigrant who's doing things right and paid his dues to get in here.
Correct. It's definitely a counterproductive approach. And again, going back to about what happened in San Antonio, Texas, 2 weeks ago, as I'm sure you know, Carlos, and the audience, that unfortunate situation where there was a trailer, an 18-wheeler that was abandoned with, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but around 50 individuals that were inside, trapped in the trailer van, which some of them unfortunately passed away, and some others, thank God, they survived, and they were taken in precarious conditions to the hospital. But again, the left comes out and talks about this and tries to blame it on Trump, which is one of the biggest lies. Obviously, Trump's not in power. Flash news to the left. These are policies and results of Biden's and the Democrat policies of open borders. So they don't care too much about the coyotes doing these illegalities and things like that.
Correct. And according to Politico, and I just did a quick search, so I haven't really got into it, but looks like this was on June 27th. It looks like 46 were dead in that trailer. Now, I'm glad that you brought this up, because it's a stark difference between the way the media handled this for Joe Biden and the way that they handled it whenever there was an illegal immigrant that died under Trump's administration. Specifically, I remember there was this little boy. It was really sad that he drowned, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just the media was hammering Trump, where here they're just not even mentioning it, to be honest with you. Silent.
The media, the rigged media, Carlos, most of the media has become an arm to the Democrat Party. I mean, that's what they are. It's state-run media almost. So it's really sad, again, that they don't hold someone like Biden accountable, that his policies and that his handlers are creating this casualties. Nobody talks about it. It's really sad and very hypocritical, and people see through it. People see through what's going on. If anyone has their vision and knows a little bit of what's going on, they know that it is a lie, that this Biden administration has tons of problems in their hands.
Yep. Now, going back to the impacts of illegal immigration, one thing that you had mentioned on was crime. I think that, the drugs, you mentioned the coyotes, right? The human trafficking, those are all byproducts of it, right? Another thing is, crime within the community, right? Because let's be real, illegal immigrants are not going to go to rich white neighborhoods or middle-class neighborhoods, right? Of any type. They're not going to go to predominantly black communities, because they want to be in communities where they blend in, right? And so what they're going to do is they're going to go to predominant Hispanic communities, and if they're criminals, they're going to target Hispanic, citizens. So again, the situation for that is impacting multiple different people when it comes to crime. It's not just the illegal immigrant, but it's also the Hispanic communities within our own country.
Sure, you hit it right in the nail. This is something that the left fails to see, Carlos. Unfortunately, the project is the fact that how the leftist media, they put this under the rug, per se, and how specifically the Spanish-speaking news, they don't talk about this. They just make it sound like come on, people, come to the border. They don't say, hey, it's dangerous. You're putting your child at risk. Correct. You're putting yourselves at risk. No, they just say, hey, another casualty at the border. Well, that's it. They don't really hammer the fact that it shouldn't be open, that again, this is an illegality, that this is breaking U.S. laws, even though the current administration is letting it happen.
And that's what frustrates me. They're breaking U.S. law. You as a U.S. citizen, me as a U.S. citizen, I have to follow every single law on the book. I cannot. I can't pick and choose which one. Because let me tell you, if I had to pick and choose, I think I'd skip on the taxes thing, right? I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want my taxes going to foreign countries. I don't mind my taxes going to our military, to our teachers, police, etc., community. But I sure as heck don't want my taxes going to abortion, and I sure as heck don't want my taxes going overseas and being wasted on stupid gender study research in other countries and all that garbage. But I can't do that. I have to adhere to every single law. Why does an illegal immigrant get to skip out? Why are they not held accountable the way me and you would be held accountable?
Exactly. It's sad. It's sad and frustrating, because if you think about it, we are hardworking Americans. We are hardworking Americans that pay taxes, that we obey the laws and the rules of the land. And again, some of these people that are coming, through the border, they just have a free pass. Even when the extremists in power in the left, they were trying to make the the jab force and all that, and vaccination status. Again, the legal aliens coming to the border, they could just travel accordingly. According to like Jen Psaki said, they're free to travel. They don't need a shot. They don't need to wear a mask. Things like that. So it just goes to show you the hypocrisy, how they were treated like royalty versus the hardworking American taxpayers.
Yeah, in her eyes, her opinion, they were not here for an extended period of time. They were not going to be here that long. That's why they were exempt.
Sure.
So
which it's so redundant, Carlos, because going back to that point real quick, I guess the Biden administration saying, oh yeah, they're getting checked in and they have a court date that they need to come back. Sure, that they're going to go back to the court date where the most likely they're going to be sent back. No, a high percentage of those illegal aliens crossing the border, they will never show up, or they never showed up to those court hearings. So it's just a farce, a complete farce.
It's catch and release all over again, right?
Catch and release, correct. Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to touch on is obviously the burden on the American taxpayer, right? And I've had debates online about how illegal immigrants, they pay their fair share, they pay their taxes, and so on and so forth. And you would be hurting the American economy if you were to deport all the illegal immigrants, right? It's hogwash. It's hogwash. Number one, they shouldn't be having a job if they're illegal, right? That's number one. So they're probably getting paid under the table. But here's just some examples of how it does take a toll on the American taxpayer. The more immigrants that you have, the more illegal immigrants that you have, the more funding you have to put towards Border Patrol. You're going to have more Border Patrol agents. The facilities to house them are going to need to be bigger, right? Or you're going to need to build more if there's like the influx that we're seeing now, right? Transportation, right? You got to transport them from where you capture them to the facility, from the facility then to the day of court if they get it, right? And then you're going to have to pay the public defenders, right? Because obviously they don't have money to hire an attorney themselves, right? And then you need more judges. You're going to need more judges. If there's an increase of illegal immigration, you're going to need more judges to hear these cases, right? And then the benefits that they're going to get, right? We're as a country, we are very, very, caring, and we're not going to leave them without anything. So they're going to get medical help. They're going to get food stamps. They're going to get certain benefits. Let me tell you, I get it. That's all great, but it's frustrating because there are some Americans that are not getting those types of benefits.
Exactly.
How many homeless people are in California right now?
Oh yeah, it's a high amount. I mean, California, it's being destroyed within itself, kind of like a black hole folding into itself with this woke policies. I was actually researching about Gavin Newsom, again, who has turned beautiful California into California, in my opinion. I mean, it's really sad to see what's going on in such a beautiful state. But apparently, and I'm still trying to find it, but about a week ago or so, there was an article that explained how he's trying to increase the tax for California citizens, and some of the increase is going to go towards support and the budget for immigration. Going back to your point, it's gonna be for free housing for illegal aliens, free food stamps, cell phones, and things of that manner. So, and obviously school as well, school funding for illegal immigrants. So that just goes to show you how the hardworking people of California, including Democrats, you're now going to be working and getting taxed even more to support illegal aliens.
Yep. And it's funny that you mentioned Gavin Newsom, because he had a commercial a couple of days ago where he took a shot at Ron DeSantis. Were you able to see that?
I actually haven't. I heard about it, but go ahead and update me on it.
So he does an ad where he just takes a shot at DeSantis, and he's telling people to come to California where it's sunny, it's shiny, and he's just trying to make it seem like Florida is really bad and California is like a haven. Yet, if I'm not mistaken, there's a bunch of people, and I know this for a fact because I have a lot of friends that are real estate agents, and there is an exodus out of California coming over to Florida and to conservative states and so on and so forth. It's ridiculous.
You hit it right on the target. So that just shows you how they're losing the narrative, Carlos. How they're desperate, how they're flipping reality, which is a common Marxist and communist approach, as we both know from our countries. So it's interesting. I haven't, I didn't know Gavin Newsom thought that California was better. Last time I checked, Florida hasn't had any power outages. Last time I checked,
That's right.
Florida hasn't run out of water. And last time I checked, Florida didn't have a huge problem with the fires in the forest.
Well, I'll tell you. I think my opinion. What I think that was. I think that was a political layup for a potential presidential run. Because
Sure. I agree with you, because a lot of the underground media, they're talking about the fact that Gavin Newsom might be the one that the left wants to run in 2024. It's been talked about a little bit underground. Maybe, I mean, as we know, in the eyes of the Democrats in power over in Washington D.C. in the swamp, they see Gavin Newsom like a king. So even though he's destroying California, even though he doesn't realize that U-Haul, it's pretty much running out of trucks because they're leaving California. There's a mass exodus of folks leaving California because of the high crime rate, the high increase in taxes, and just the overall situation. The mandates that people are tired, the discrimination of people that haven't taken the deadly job, in my opinion, things like that. So it's really interesting that Gavin Newsom, it looks like he's a little bit better about Florida and flipping reality.
Let's see what happens. My philosophy is time always reveals the truth. So we'll wait to see what happens, right?
Yes, sir. Amen to that.
Yeah, man. All right. So, hey, man, let's wrap it up. It's been great chatting with you for our first episode. And like I said, we'll go ahead and post these on a weekly basis, right? We'll go ahead and record and post on a weekly basis, and we'll continue to bring information and content over to our audience. Hopefully our audience will grow, and hopefully this will be something that is very beneficial to a lot of people.
Most definitely. Looking forward to the next episode. Fellow Patriots, stay out there safe, and thank you for your time.
All right. Take care, man.
Take care, brother. God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.